We want to solve this compound inequality of negative 10 less than 4x minus 7 less than negative 4. There are two ways you can solve this. Here is the first way. The first way is to break it into two inequalities. Use the first two parts and then use the last two parts to create two different inequalities. I've used this and then I've used this. With the blue line, in other words, I've used this and then I've used this. Two separate inequalities. Solve each one separately. So move the minus 7 to the left on this one and make it plus 7. Simplify the left to get a negative 3. And then divide by the 4 that is with the x. So negative 3/4 less than x is one part of it. On the right hand side, we need to move this minus 7 to the right and make it plus. Simplify the right side to get a 3. And then divide that 3 by the 4 from the x. So you have two different solutions here, but you must combine them together with the x in the middle. And your lowest one should be over on the left, and it is. Negative 3/4 less than x less than 3/4. This means that x is in the middle between these two numbers. And these two are not included because it is not less than or equal to. Here is how you have to express your answer, though. It's got to be a number line. And here is your number line. It's a straight line with arrows on either end. You have a 3/4 and you have a negative 3/4. You do not have to draw in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 on either side if they are not needed. For instance, you only need a 0, and then you have a positive 1, a negative 1, and then show where a negative 3/4 would be at, which is approximately here. Since this is less than, and there is no or equal to with it, it's an open dot. If x is greater than a negative 3/4, which is how you read this, starting with the x and going this way. If x is greater than a negative 3/4, you have an open dot and it's going over to the right. Then you need a positive 3/4, which is approximately here. And again, you need an open dot because open dots signify this. Closed dots are this. And if x is less than 3/4, then your line must go this way. This represents the graphical solution of that compound inequality. Let's solve this compound inequality of negative 8 less than or equal to 8x plus 9 less than 4. The second way you can do this is to isolate the x in the middle. And to get that x in the middle, we have to first get rid of the plus 9. Do the opposite of plus 9, which is minus 9, but do it in all three areas. This is one whole expression. All we're doing is taking 9 away from it. But if we do it here, we have to do it there. You do not subtract 9 from 8x. You can't do that. We're just getting rid of this plus 9. Subtract here, but as well as here and here. So negative 8 minus 9 is a negative 17. Less than or equal to 8x, because these cancel out. And then less than 4 minus 9 is a negative 5. But you still don't have x by itself. It has an 8 with it. So divide everything by 8. When you do that, you're left with a negative 17 over 8 less than or equal to x less than a negative 5/8. Change to a mixed number where necessary. And the negative 17 over 8 is the same as negative 2 and 1/8. And fill in the rest of it. You need a number line. Here's the number line without any numbers. And we have to go back as far as a negative 3 to encompass the negative 2 1/8, and as far to the right as just 0. There's a 0. Here's 1 and 2. Actually, we need 3 on there, but we can just go off to the left-hand side of that negative 2. So negative 2, negative 1. A negative 5/8 is just a little more than half. So it will be approximately right here. That's a negative 5/8. And x is less than that, so it's an open dot, and it goes this way. The negative 2 1/8 is approximately here. But that's x greater than a negative 2 1/8. The mouth opens to the x. So x greater than or equal to means a closed dot. And it must go to the right. There is your graphical solution. The solution for this would fall in between here and could possibly be this number, but it can't be this one. It would have to be less than that. To solve this compound inequality, we want to get the x by itself in the middle, so we have to get rid of this plus 3 to start with. Subtract 3 from each section. On the left, you'll get a negative 9. In the middle, you're left with 6x, because those cancel. And then negative 4 minus 3 is a negative 7. Now to get x completely by itself, divide everything by 6. And come up with a negative 9/6 less than x less than negative 7/6. But you have to clean this up a little bit. Express negative 9/6 as a mixed number. So that would be a negative 1 3/6. And then over here we have a negative 1 1/6. But this can still be cleaned up some more. That is a negative 1 1/2. And then over here on this side it would just stay the same. On a number line, which is what you have to turn in, you're going to go like this. And here's 0, and we have to go back to negative 1 and negative 2. A negative 1 1/2 would be here. And that's an open dot. X, and the mouth is open to the x, it means x greater than a negative 1 1/2. So it would have to go this way to be greater than. And then for this one, the mouth is, or the inequality sign is pointing to the x, so it's x less than a negative 1 1/6. A negative 1 1/6 would be approximately here. It's an open dot, so we would go this way. We want to get x by itself in the middle. We have to get rid of this minus 7 first. So add 7 here as well as here and here. You'll come up with negative 8 plus 7 is a negative 1. And then the 2x after this cancels, and negative 6 plus 7 is 1. But now you have to divide everything by 2. When you do that, it's a negative 1/2 less than or equal to x less than 1/2. And when you go to graph these on your number line, make sure you're reading it starting with x first, as in x less than 1/2. So we know we have to have at least 1 on our number line. And then you have a negative 1/2, we'll go back to negative 1. If x is greater than or equal to a negative 1/2, that means negative 1/2 is here, but it's a solid dot. You're going to go up this way. For the 1/2, it's approximately here. X is less than 1/2, it's an open dot. And you'll go back this way. To solve this compound inequality, we have to get the x by itself. And the first step to doing that is to add 7 to each section. Negative 10 plus 7 is negative 3. And in the middle, these cancel out. Negative 6 plus 7 is 1. Divide by 2 to get a negative 1 1/2 less than x less than 1/2. On the number line, Here it is, and we have to go as far as 1, because we have a half, and then as far as a negative 2, because we have a negative 1 and a half. This is 1/2, and x is less than 1/2, so it's an open dot, and it goes this way. Read it this way, though. X greater than a negative 1 1/2. Here's negative 1 1/2. It's greater than, so it's an open dot, and greater than goes this way.